The distress beacon from Europa Research Station shouldn't have reached Earth for another 3 days. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the incoming transmission, her hands trembling as she decoded the message. The station's quantum array had detected something massive emerging from deep space, something that defied every known law of physics. "Director Walsh needs to see this immediately," she whispered, already reaching for the secure line to NASA headquarters. The objects, there were hundreds of them, were moving at impossible speeds, decelerating as they approached the solar system. Within hours, every major space agency on Earth confirmed the readings. The vessels, if that's what they were, had passed Mars' orbit and showed no signs of slowing. Their trajectory pointed directly at Earth. Director Walsh stood before the UN Security Council 48 hours later, his usually composed demeanor cracking under the weight of his news. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are not alone, and our visitors don't appear interested in diplomatic protocols." The alien ships arrived on a Tuesday. They emerged from the darkness beyond Luna, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence that seemed to absorb light itself. Each vessel dwarfed the largest human spacecraft ever built, their shapes reminiscent of ancient sea creatures, all smooth curves and predatory grace. Their first message came not through radio waves or light signals, but directly into every electronic device on Earth simultaneously. The aliens called themselves the Harvesters. They spoke of resources, of necessity, of inevitable progress. Their words were precise, clinical, devoid of emotion. "Your world contains elements crucial to our civilization's survival," the message stated. "Resistance will only increase the suffering of your species. Accept your role in the greater universe's progress." Humanity's response came not from world leaders or diplomatic channels, but from Dr. Isabella Patil of the Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile. She had detected something curious in the Harvester's transmission, a pattern that shouldn't exist in any natural or artificial signal. "They're lying," she announced to the Emergency Scientific Council. "Their message contains quantum signatures consistent with biological manipulation. They're not here for resources. They're here for us." The Harvesters struck before humanity could act on this revelation. Their weapons were unlike anything Earth had prepared for. They didn't use missiles or energy beams. Instead, they deployed clouds of microscopic machines that consumed everything in their path, converting matter into energy with terrifying efficiency. Major cities worldwide went dark as power grids failed under the assault. Communications networks collapsed, leaving billions in darkness. But in their rush to disable Earth's infrastructure, the Harvesters made their first crucial mistake. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Chen worked frantically to analyze the alien nanomachines. Each particle operated on principles that seemed to defy physics, but there was something familiar about their behavior. "They're not that different from our own experimental quantum computers," she realized, watching the particles interact through an electron microscope. "They're just scaled up to a level we never thought possible." The Harvesters' second mistake was assuming humanity would break under their initial assault. Instead, communities banded together. Amateur radio networks sprang up overnight. People adapted, innovated, and most importantly, they fought back. In the ruins of Tokyo, a teenager named Hiroshi Tanaka discovered that the alien nanomachines could be disrupted by specific frequencies of sound. In Lagos, Dr. Adebayo's team found ways to repurpose abandoned cell phone networks into early warning systems. Across the globe, humans did what they did best. They adapted. The Harvesters hadn't expected this. Their previous conquests had followed a predictable pattern: initial shock, attempted resistance, then inevitable surrender. But humans proved different. Every failure taught them something new. Every defeat made them stronger. As the first week of the invasion drew to a close, Dr. Chen made her breakthrough. The alien nanomachines weren't just weapons. They were keys to understanding the Harvesters' entire technological framework. And like any key, they could unlock doors their makers never intended. "We don't need to match their technology," she explained to the remains of Earth's military leadership. We need to understand it, then make it our own. The war for Earth was about to enter its second phase, and humanity was ready to show the universe why they had survived every catastrophe their world had thrown at them. The harvesters were about to learn that humans didn't just adapt to survive, they adapted to win. 3 weeks into the invasion, humanity had learned the hard way that conventional weapons were useless against the harvesters' technology. But Dr. Chen's discovery had changed everything. In makeshift labs across the globe, scientists worked around the clock to understand the quantum principles behind the alien nanomachines. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Maria Torres, a graduate student in Barcelona, noticed something peculiar about the way the nanomachines responded to different electromagnetic frequencies. They're not just machines, she explained over a patched-together video conference. They're more like artificial organisms, and like any organism, they have an immune system. This revelation sparked a global research initiative. Underground facilities, protected from the harvesters' detection by layers of quantum shielding, became humanity's think tanks. Scientists who once competed for grants and recognition now work together with single-minded purpose. Dr. Adebayo's team in Lagos made the next crucial discovery. The nanomachines weren't just susceptible to certain frequencies, they could be reprogrammed. It's like hacking a computer, he explained, but instead of code, we're using quantum states. Every particle is both a weapon and a vulnerability. The harvesters, meanwhile, continued their methodical conquest of Earth's surface. They established massive processing centers in the ruins of major cities, converting Earth's resources into forms their civilization could use. They remained confident in their superiority, never suspecting that their every action was being studied, analyzed, and understood by the species they considered primitive. Commander Sarah Martinez, leading what remained of Earth's combined military forces from a bunker deep beneath the Andes, watched the alien patterns emerge. They're efficient, she noted, but they're predictable. They follow the same protocols every time, like they're running on a script they can't deviate from. This observation proved crucial. The harvesters' technology was incredibly advanced, but their tactics hadn't evolved in centuries. They had no need to innovate, until now. Humanity's first coordinated counterattack came 6 weeks into the invasion. It started small, with targeted disruptions of the aliens' communication networks. Dr. Chen's team had developed what they called quantum disruptors, devices that could interfere with the harvesters' nanomachine control signals. The first tests exceeded all expectations. In Sao Paulo, resistance fighters managed to disable an entire alien processing center. The harvesters' response was telling. They had no backup protocols, no contingency plans for this type of failure. They don't know how to handle unexpected problems, Martins realized. They've relied on overwhelming force for so long, they'd forgotten how to adapt. This weakness became the cornerstone of humanity's resistance strategy. Around the world, humans began fighting back in ways the harvesters couldn't predict. In Mumbai, engineers developed electromagnetic pulse generators that could scramble the aliens' targeting systems. Australian outback survivors discovered that certain natural minerals could block the harvesters' scanning technology. But the real game-changer came from Dr. Chen's continued research into the alien nanomachines. We can do more than just disable them, she announced 2 months into the war. We can control them, and if we can control them, we can turn their own technology against them. The implications were staggering. Humanity now had a way to not just resist the harvesters, but to actively fight back using their own weapons. The aliens had unwittingly provided Earth with everything needed to defeat them. Martinez coordinated the global response from her command center. Strike teams were assembled, combining military precision with scientific expertise. The quantum disruptors were mass-produced in hidden facilities, distributed through underground networks that spanned continents. The harvesters remained unaware of the threat developing beneath their feet. Their scans couldn't penetrate the quantum shielding protecting human facilities, and their rigid protocols prevented them from recognizing the pattern of resistance forming around them. As humanity prepared for its first major offensive, Dr. Chen made one final discovery. The alien nanomachines weren't just weapons or tools. They were the key to understanding the Harvester's entire civilization. Their technology, their ships, even their biology. She explained, it's all based on the same quantum principles. If we can disrupt one part, we can disrupt everything. Martinez finished. The plan was set. Operation Quantum Strike would begin at dawn. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had more than just hope. They had a path to victory. The Harvesters were about to learn that underestimating human ingenuity was the last mistake they would ever make. Operation Quantum Strike began on a moonless night, when thousands of resistance fighters emerged from hidden bunkers worldwide. They carried weapons that would have seemed impossible just months ago, hybrid devices combining human innovation with reverse-engineered Harvester technology. Dr. Chen, monitoring from the Rocky Mountain facility, watched as the first phase began. The quantum disruptors activated simultaneously across the globe, creating a web of interference that rippled through the Harvester's communication network. For the first time since their arrival, the aliens experienced something unfamiliar: confusion. In orbit, their massive ships detected the disruption but couldn't identify its source. The Harvester's response was predictably methodical. They began standard containment protocols, deploying waves of nanomachines to isolate and eliminate the threat. But this time, something was different. Maria Torres, now leading a team of quantum engineers in Europe, initiated the second phase. The reprogrammed nanomachines they'd developed over the past months activated, spreading through the alien swarms like a virus. Instead of destroying Earth's resources, these modified particles began transforming the Harvester's own technology. It's working, she reported, watching through quantum-enhanced sensors. Their machines are accepting our commands. The backdoor we created is holding. The aliens' greatest weapon was becoming their greatest vulnerability. Commander Martinez coordinated the ground assault. Strike teams moved with precision, targeting the processing centers the Harvesters had established in major cities. The aliens defended their positions with overwhelming force, but their attacks were ineffective against humanity's hybrid defenses. Dr. Adebayo's contribution proved crucial during this phase. His team had developed quantum shields that could absorb and redirect the Harvester's energy weapons. They never considered that their technology could be used this way, he explained. They've been stuck in the same patterns for too long. The battle for Mexico City became the turning point. The Harvesters, following their standard protocols, concentrated their forces to protect their largest processing center in the Western Hemisphere. It was exactly what humanity had anticipated. Hiroshi Tanaka, the teenager who had first discovered the aliens' vulnerability to sonic disruption, had worked with Dr. Chen to develop something new. They called it the Resonance Cascade, a device that could amplify the quantum disruption effect exponentially. When the device activated in Mexico City, the result exceeded all expectations. The Harvester's nanomachine swarms didn't just fail, they transformed, converting into a new form that responded only to human control. The aliens' impenetrable defenses crumbled in minutes. But the real breakthrough came in the aftermath. As the resistance forces secured the processing center, Dr. Chen made a discovery that changed everything. These facilities, she reported, excitement breaking through her usual calm. They're not just processing centers. They're gateways. The Harvesters had been building a network of quantum tunnels, planning to transport Earth's resources directly to their home world. But in their arrogance, they had created something else, a vulnerability that reached to the heart of their civilization. We can use their own network against them, Martinez realized. Not just to defend Earth, but to take the fight to their doorstep. The implications were staggering. Humanity had an opportunity not just to repel the invasion, but to ensure it could never happen again. As news of the victory spread through the resistance network, something changed in the way people fought. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity wouldn't just endure, they would triumph. The Harvesters, for the first time in their long history of conquest, experienced an unfamiliar sensation: fear. Their rigid hierarchy couldn't adapt to this new threat. Their technology, once unmatched across countless worlds, was being turned against them by beings they had dismissed as primitive. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly to prepare for the next phase. The quantum tunnels would need to be modified. The risks were enormous, but the potential reward, ensuring Earth's permanent safety, made it worth attempting. "We're not just fighting for survival anymore," she told Martinez. "We're fighting for our future among the stars." As the Resistance prepared for their boldest move yet, the Harvesters finally began to understand their fatal error. They had invaded Earth expecting to find another primitive species to conquer. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous: humanity's full potential. The war for Earth was entering its final phase, and the galaxy was about to learn why humans had not only survived every catastrophe their world had thrown at them, but had emerged stronger each time. The Harvesters' doom was sealed the moment they chose Earth as their target. They just didn't know it yet. The discovery of the quantum tunnel network changed everything. Within days of securing the Mexico City facility, Dr. Chen and her team began the dangerous process of reprogramming the alien gateways. Each success revealed more about the Harvesters' true nature and their fundamental weakness. "Their entire civilization is built on quantum technology," she explained to the Global Resistance Council. "But they'd been using it wrong. They brute forced their way through space-time instead of working with it. That's why their systems are so vulnerable to our modifications." Maria Torres led the effort to map the tunnel network. Working with quantum computers hidden in bunkers worldwide, her team discovered something extraordinary. "The tunnels don't just connect to their home world," she reported. "They link to every planet the Harvesters have conquered. It's their empire's backbone. And now it's our highway." Commander Martinez saw the strategic opportunity immediately. "We can hit them everywhere at once. Not just defend Earth, but liberate every world they've enslaved." The plan was audacious, perhaps impossible, but humanity had made a habit of achieving the impossible. Dr. Adebayo's team had perfected the quantum shields, creating portable versions that could protect entire armies. "The shields don't just defend," he explained. "They learn. Each attack they absorb makes them stronger, more adaptive. Everything the Harvesters throw at us makes us more powerful." The global counteroffensive began with a feint. Resistance forces launched apparent attacks on Harvester positions worldwide, drawing their attention and their forces. The aliens responded exactly as predicted, following their unchanging protocols, concentrating their forces to crush each threat. But the real attack came through the quantum tunnels. Strike teams, led by Martinez herself, emerged on a dozen conquered worlds simultaneously. They carried humanity's hybrid weapons and something even more powerful: hope. On each planet, they found populations who had lived under Harvester control for generations, waiting for a chance to fight back. Hiroshi Tanaka's resonance cascade devices proved devastating on the alien worlds. The Harvesters had built their entire infrastructure on the same quantum principles, making every facility, every weapon, every defense vulnerable to humanity's innovations. The aliens' rigid hierarchy proved to be their downfall. Unable to adapt to simultaneous attacks across their empire, their responses became increasingly chaotic. For the first time in their history, the Harvesters faced an enemy that could strike at their heart while they couldn't even protect their edges. Back on Earth, Dr. Chen made another breakthrough. Analyzing data from the liberated worlds, she discovered the source of the Harvesters' technological stagnation. "They're not just set in their ways," she realized. "They've modified their own biology to interface with their quantum systems. They literally can't think in new ways anymore." This revelation explained everything: their predictable tactics, their inability to adapt, their complete shock at humanity's innovations. The harvesters had sacrificed their capacity for growth in exchange for power, never imagining they might encounter a species that could turn that power against them. Martinez coordinated the expanding liberation campaign from a captured harvester command center. Each freed world joined the fight, adding their knowledge and resources to humanity's cause. The aliens had created an empire of fear and control, but humans were building something different. An alliance of free worlds united by hope and determination. The harvesters attempted to retaliate with overwhelming force, but their attacks were predictable, their strategies unchanged for centuries. Humanity's quantum shields absorbed everything they could throw, growing stronger with each failed assault. The Resistance hybrid weapons, combining human innovation with alien technology, cut through their defenses like they weren't even there. Dr. Chen worked with scientists from the liberated worlds, sharing knowledge, combining technologies in ways the harvesters had never imagined. They thought technology was about power, she observed. We're showing them it's about possibility. As the counteroffensive pushed toward the harvester homeworld, the aliens faced a choice they had never encountered before: adapt or fall. Their rigid hierarchy, their unchanging protocols, their very biology worked against them. They had spent millennia becoming perfect machines, only to discover that their perfection was their greatest weakness. The final battle for the galaxy was approaching, but its outcome was already clear. The harvesters had invaded Earth, expecting to find another primitive species to conquer. Instead, they had awakened humanity's true potential and unleashed it upon the stars. Their empire was crumbling, their power failing, and their inability to change would be their undoing. As Martinez prepared her forces for the final push, she reflected on how far humanity had come. They thought they were superior because they stopped changing, she told her troops. We're superior because we never will. The galaxy was about to witness the full power of human adaptability, and nothing would ever be the same. The harvester homeworld hung in space like a mechanical jewel, its surface covered in quantum processing centers and massive ships under construction. As humanity's combined fleet emerged from the quantum tunnels, Dr. Chen couldn't help but marvel at the scale of what they'd built, and how vulnerable it all was. The aliens had concentrated their remaining forces around their capital, creating what they believed to be an impenetrable defense. Their ships formed geometric patterns in space, each position calculated to maximize their defensive capabilities. It was perfect, precise, and completely predictable. They still don't understand, Maria Torres observed from her command station. The quantum sensors she developed showed the harvester's defensive grid like a constellation of weaknesses. Each perfect formation, each precise position was a vulnerability waiting to be exploited. Commander Martinez gave the order that would change the galaxy forever. Operation Phoenix, begin. Across the fleet, thousands of modified resonance cascade devices activated simultaneously. The quantum disruption wave spread through space like ripples in a pond, each wave amplifying the next. The harvesters' perfect formations began to break apart. Their quantum-based technology, the source of their power for millennia, turned against them. Ships lost power, defensive systems failed, and communication networks collapsed. But humanity wasn't there to destroy. They had a different goal. Dr. Adebayo's team launched the next phase. Quantum shields extended not to block the aliens' weapons, but to contain them, to protect them from their own failing technology. We're not like them, he had insisted during the planning. We don't need to annihilate to win. The real victory came from Dr. Chen's final innovation. Working with scientists from dozens of liberated worlds, she had developed what she called the Quantum Liberation Protocol. As it activated, it spread through the harvesters' neural networks, breaking the rigid technological bonds that had limited their ability to think and adapt. For the first time in thousands of years, the harvesters experienced something new: choice. Their hive mind fractured into individual consciousness. The empire that had conquered countless worlds didn't end with a battle, but with an awakening. The aftermath brought changes no one had predicted. Free from their self-imposed limitations, Many harvesters chose to help rebuild the worlds they had conquered. Their technology, combined with human innovation, accelerated the recovery of devastated planets. 1 year after the final battle, representatives from every freed world gathered on Earth. The planet that had been targeted for conquest had become the center of a new galactic alliance. Dr. Chen, speaking to the assembly, emphasized the lesson they had learned. The harvesters thought evolution meant becoming perfect, unchanging, she said. We showed them that true evolution never stops. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to change, to adapt, to become more than we are. Commander Martinez, now leading Earth's first deep space exploration fleet, found a different meaning in their victory. We didn't just save ourselves, she observed. We saved them too. By refusing to become like them, by maintaining our humanity even in war, we showed the galaxy a better way. The quantum tunnel network, once used for conquest, became highways of commerce and cultural exchange. Maria Torres led the effort to establish new colonies, using modified harvester technology to make distant stars accessible to all. Humanity's dream of reaching the stars had been realized, though not in any way they had imagined. Hiroshi Tanaka, the teenager whose discovery had helped start their path to victory, became the youngest professor at the new Galactic Science Academy. His work combining human intuition with quantum mechanics would open new frontiers of discovery. Dr. Adebayo focused on healing, using the quantum shields to develop medical technologies that could cure diseases once thought incurable. The same principles that had protected against weapons now protected against illness and injury. The harvesters, freed from their neural constraints, began their own journey of rediscovery. Some chose to isolate themselves, processing their new freedom. Others eagerly sought to learn from the species they had once dismissed as primitive. Their civilization, built on stasis, was learning to embrace change. Earth itself was transformed. The scars of invasion became monuments to resilience. The hidden bunkers that had sheltered humanity became universities and research centers. The quantum technology that had nearly conquered them became the foundation of a new age of exploration and discovery. As humanity looked to the stars, they carried with them the lesson of their victory. True strength lies not in perfection, but in the ability to change. The species that had evolved on a planet of constant challenges had shown the galaxy that adaptation, innovation, and compassion were more powerful than any weapon. The war that was meant to end humanity instead launched them into a future brighter than any could have imagined. In facing extinction, they had found their destiny among the stars.